Take off! It's time for Doug and Ben's great NASCAR adventure!
All right, thanks as always, Marshall, and welcome to NasCanucks, your NASCAR podcast live right here on YouTube with a Canadian spin.
I'm just glad that Marshall was able to make it back. He was at the race on the weekend, able to make it back to start off the show.
This is true. We've got Keith H in the chat. We've got Symmetry, one of the co-hosts of Canucks with Guitars now. Just saying.
Oh.
Yeah. He's from the West Coast, which is the best coast. So blame it on the rain. Wow. NASCAR, we're getting down. We had Xfinity, we had Cup. When you messaged me on Friday night, I was moderating a show, and you're like, hey, they're getting ready to go green. I'm like, it's 20-11. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really affect crowd size.
No, but yeah. So we are going to be skipping. There was a show you didn't see.
Yeah.
Ben forgot to hit live last week.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Shut up. Yes, because we've done more than one intro tonight. So
yes. Which is good because it allowed me to get some extra time in.
Well, there we go. Yeah, show prep and all that. So, Xfinity. I'm trying to think. Was there any real news and notes going in? Not really. Like, other than getting close to the playoffs.
Coming out of Watkins Glen, there was a lot of silence.
Yes.
Coming out of Watkins Glen. Because usually, when a Cup driver wins an Xfinity race, we can't have those guys in Xfinity. We can't. A Hendrick driver won? We need them in Xfinity. It's such a great thing that he won. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little confusing with 2 HendrickCars.com cars as well. Like, reverse the paint scheme on one of them or something.
That would take brains.
Excuse me. No.
And we knew from the Sunday, we found on the Sunday that there ain't much there.
I'm going to say, apparently there was a fourth colleague car in the race, because I kept, the 4 colleague cars line up. Like, the 18 is owned by Gibbs. Yes. I don't know who I don't know who the fourth one was, because I kept saying he's out there. I must have been a ghost car, because I don't know who was driving it.
Well, and you know what? And afterwards, I loved it, like especially the Watkins Glen, because that was I believe that was Sammy Smith's first time in the car. I believe, because he's just a rookie.
Yes.
And he said that there wasn't much pressure. He said there wasn't much pressure on him driving that car because, being facetious, because he said, he knew that if something went wrong, it was all driver because it's a Gibbs car.
Yeah, so you can't blame the car.
The blame would have been all on Sammy Smith, and that's exactly what he said. And, coming over the third place finish in that race was not bad for him.
Yeah, yeah. So, and he was back in the car again this week. So, Moz will try different kinds of tracks. You're going to be doing it next year. So
exactly. And then just to finish up from the show, I know you didn't want to talk about it, but I just have to say something. I got to get it off my chest.
Doug's been drinking the Kool-Aid, folks.
I got Chastained. It's empty. So after the Cup race, we've seen the little bitch whining to the two owners of Hendrick.
Right.
Kyle went and hit me. It's racing. It's going to happen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We then find out the Tuesday morning meeting that they had. Kyle got told, when running next to Chase, you have to let him go.
Yeah.
You can't be kind of rough. You have to let the chosen one go. He has to be the winner this year. Let him go.
He's our flagship driver.
Yes.
We don't care that you're the reigning Cup champ.
No. We don't want him crying on TV and looking really bad.
Yeah, remember, we took you in when nobody else wanted you, so you got to be good and just know your role.
More on that later on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
what's that?
yeah.
First over the 41? Maybe.
What about the 10?
10's taken.
There's, to quote someone in the chat, there's a symmetry there in the 10 and the 5. We'll talk about later.
Yes, that's in between the first race and into the. Can we get into the race?
Let's go. Let's
all right. So other than four quality cars.
If you had the Larson Allmendinger parlay for both races at Watkins Glen, you cashed in.
Yes. So
second verse, same as the first.
Yes.
Write that music reference.
So they dropped the green late Friday night because of rain delay, which fine. They just showed last year's Cup race instead. Okay, fine. Usual suspects running in and around the front. Hey, Terry. I'm trying to think. The 07 was pretty competitive. Young Gibb was hell bent to lead every lap, regardless of where he was on the track. You are not taking the Kyle Busch advice and ease her on back and hang in the back. He's like, nope. Yep. He's Dale Jr. style. If I go to the back, I'm going right back to the front. I want to lead all laps. So, AJ Allmendinger is just wave the checker. Just wave it because he hates that stuff.
And he said as much after the race.
Yeah. Much like Mark Martin. And he voices as much opinion, very much like Mark Martin, because generally he has the same results as Mark Martin, either up front or in an ambulance. Mm-hmm. One or the other. So, we had junior motorsports cars where, like Gregson was up front, but Josh Berry was hard to stay up front. He was really overdriving the car. A
lot of Mayer and Allgaier up front. They even, I think,
but Mayer was intermittent. He got shuffled out several times.
Yeah.
Yes, Keith. Shuffling around this and that, and it was. I thought everyone kept going up to the top. And even the commentators are like, don't! It's faster on the bottom. But Junior's like, yeah, but once you get up top, you can ride. And then they end up, it took them 2/3 of the race, but that's what they ended up doing for 2/3 of the race, or up to the 2/3 point. It wasn't a whole lot. A few spins here and there because cars were loose.
Yep.
We had a couple tire issues, similar idea. Some nice saves, guys that were spinning out and managed to keep it off that inside retaining wall.
Yep.
And keep them going. I was surprised how few cars got stuck.
Riley Herbst, can your eyes be any bigger than your head?
Whoa!
Twice.
Well, twice. Your eyes go that big, Doug, when you're driving a car, and then all of a sudden you realize, I'm a passenger. There's really hands and feet, no input.
With all that water spring up, he did get a pretty good shower as well. You got to wash the car.
He did. Cooled off the headers nicely as well, I'm sure. No fires this weekend of racing, surprisingly. Imagine that. Dampness. Jeez. That was interesting. A few saves, like I say, and then towards the end, they're like, tighten on that strap, which cuts off the blood supply.
Yep.
And then the pushes became shoves into bangs, and hey, you got to leave a little space. Or they knew, like on restarts, for instance, I'm allowed to push all the way through turn 2 before NASCAR is going to get on me.
Yep.
And they were literally just getting off the rear bumpers of the lead cars as the transition to the backstretch.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, the pushing contest was very much like a pissing contest. I'm going to push the guy in the other lane further than you're going to push a guy, and we saw a few restarts. Whoa, hey, easy. Yep. You haven't dropped the green yet. Easy back there. Well, I'm in 22nd. I'm going to be 3rd by turn 2. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's not Talladega. It's not one of those tracks where you go 15. It's not Pocono. You can't go 15 wide.
No.
Relax. But so we had a poor Junior was calling it because they were looking at the lead and they're like, hey, this is going to be happening. And Junior's like, there's a wreck right here. And then he's like, oh, it's all my cars. Right. And he just shut up. You notice that for like 2 minutes. Whenever anything involves his cars, he just stands back. And I think he does that consciously, and I get it.
Well, and
because he doesn't want... The last time he said something which would have been Road America, when he opened his mouth, he shouldn't have, because he said the wrong damn thing.
Well,
so now he's backed up.
Not to go back to Watkins Glen, but I did check out just for a second, just because dealing with that, because he had said, I thought I'd said something on the broadcast about the whole Larson chase thing. No, you didn't. You shut up.
Yeah.
Letarte talked.
Yeah.
Junior didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, Junior shut up on that one because all his cars got some form of damage, just like that. Hardest wreck I've seen in years. Sheldon Creed with his car bent in half.
That buckled the roof.
I want to talk about that. I knew it happened right away. You got your 3 or 4 door bars on the passenger side, Doug.
Yep.
You can tell the nose right at the front of the frame rail, where it ain't going to bend. You can tell it hit the corner of that door bar because and that's what, and because it shoved it forward a bit as well as in.
Yep.
And yeah, that car bananaed like that. That's going to, I bet you, I don't know, maybe not by this week, but next week in the RCR museum.
Yeah.
I bet you that car's in there. Or that car's been put aside. If NASCAR hasn't impounded it just to take a looky-loo.
I think that would have been
Tom?
Would have been Ryan Newman or worse had it been driver's side.
That would have been would have been worse. That would have been broken hip situation.
If not more.
Yeah. They crushed everything.
Yeah.
And then the non-flammable foam would catch on fire.
Yes.
Because that's how that rolls.
Yep.
All good, Tom. All good. Figured as much, buddy. So yeah, that was, I watched that a couple times because I was like, what happened? And then we got the different angles and you got, yep, that's what happened. But that car did what it was supposed to do because Sheldon was fine, for the most part. You can tell it's like, you didn't really look at, are you not that technical? Because, someone like a Greg Biffle who builds cars would take a look, wow, that is not going on the jig.
Yeah.
Like the rear clip was already half declipped.
Yeah.
Unclipped. So, yeah, it was good to see he was all right, which because, honestly, that was a bit of karma because he was getting he gets a little aggressive, Nice, Tom. Nothing wrong with that. BuzzFeed. So, yeah. I'm trying to think. So came down towards the end. We had multiple attempts. They tried to wreck all the cars before the end of the race.
Yeah.
Which was a theme.
Daytona.
Yeah. Daytona at night.
Yep.
Weird things happen, especially past midnight. Race car drivers, they're used to the garage areas opening at like 7 a.m. They're not night people. That's what I'm saying. So, which, honestly, based off past quickness of throwing cautions, Doug, that caution should have thrown before.
Oh yes, they were well before the start finish line.
Yeah, Riley Hurt was already getting back on the track.
Yep.
And then they threw the caution that. But on the other hand, you can tell they're just like, it's 1:30 in the morning. We just want to end this.
Yep.
While there's still a car that can make a lap to finish the race. We get it.
Yep.
And shockingly, because they were talking with his dad before the last restart, because broadcasters love nothing more than a back marker leading late, and we get to talk because it's going to be someone's cousin.
Yep. Or
in this case, their father with a radio man in the pit box, and they say how Jeremy calls the races himself because, and blah, blah. And his dad is quite well known for building very good race
I even got some more. So, what's his name? Jeremy.
Clements.
That's it. The reporter after post race said Jeremy Clements, and he was like Clements.
Yeah.
It was actually. I got to listen to it. It was quite kind of funny.
Well, that reporter probably went to the Dale Jr. School of Enunciation.
Actually, no, it wasn't even a reporter. It was the guy introducing him to the podium.
Nice.
So he was talking, and he was. It had the.
To see that crowd, and I don't know if I don't know who it was, but it was from another team. But he was Punch Gray, but has a radio. Like you can tell, he's somebody that's got a managerial role. Probably sat on pit boxes when they were still toolboxes, and he said, "Welcome back to Victory Lane."
Yep.
To Timothy Clements, Jeremy's father, and I was thinking that might have been like Sieg Senior or something like
It could be welcome the family back to Victory Lane because, not sure if you know this, Jeremy Clements' grandfather,
yes,
crew chief for AJ Foyt, 1964 Daytona win.
Yes, Rick Allen was quick to point that one out after the race. Or was it Rick Allen? Yeah, it's Rick Allen. Mentioned it, which was cool. Yeah, that was cool. Long lineage.
Yep.
What we're saying. Real racing family. Like say them, the Siegs.
And they really partied it up because they talked to, in the interview afterwards. And now it's gone from me, the winner of the Truck Series last year. That post-race interview.
Oh, yes. The young kid there.
Yeah. Anyway, they were talking to Jeremy about that, and they're like, "So, will you? How many more beers will be consumed?" And he's like, "Well, on pit road, I was given this beer, but it was only some dude drank half of it first before he handed it to me, so I won't have like half, but we were going to have many, many more." And he goes. And he must have the hey to his wife when she came in because he actually said it. And then I believe she kind of took one look at him, and she did a 180 back out of the room. Yeah. He was like, "She gone," and those were his exact words. "She gone."
Yeah. And like I say, and I do want to say right at the end there, before the last wreck, they're making a big deal of Austin Hill in the RCR car with the damage, still a very strong car. How about Timmy Hill there, right up in the mix as well?
Exactly.
Right. So which is great to see. However,
that leads to a couple hours ago.
So the rule is because it's a sealed engine. They run sealed engines, apparently, which I'm kind of curious who supplies the sealed engines because I know like Truck Series Ilmore does all the motors.
Yeah,
and which I'm curious, what's under the hood of a Toyota versus a Chevy? Are they still manufacturer specific engines that are all built by Ilmore?
From what I heard today, is they do their engines, and then they take them to NASCAR. NASCAR puts a seal on them.
Okay.
And then that's where they take them back to NASCAR to check to see if that seal has been broken or if there's anything that looks a little different.
And so what the deal is with the sealed motors, you run them for X amount of miles / races. When it's time to rebuild the engine, you got to take it to the R&D center
You have a couple 3 weeks, like possibly 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes.
To get that engine back to the R&D center.
Well, yeah, because basically what it is, you can't rebuild it until they've taken a look at it and basically de-sealed it.
Yeah.
And
so
found a little issue with the intake manifold.
The Clements family still has a couple weeks left before that engine goes back to Daytona, but they wanted to go and get it checked out this week.
Yep.
Couple weeks too soon, maybe a week too soon.
Well, what I'm thinking is that was probably one of their better motors, and they wanted to get it freshened up for the playoffs. So you take it out of rotation now. Totally makes sense. So which tells me I'm thinking it wasn't like active, noble cheating per se, as opposed to it sounds almost like there's a dent in the like because there's a small pan under there.
Yep.
and it was modified. And so that's why I'm wondering if it was damaged and repaired because they're a cheap team too. We'll just bang the dent up. No, you can't do that. It's modifying it.
So leveled with a level 2 penalty,
Level 2 penalty.
a win taken away.
Yep. Well, the win, you won the race, but you don't qualify for the playoffs.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And, just in case you happen to win again next week, we're taking away 10 playoff points.
Yep. Andrew Crew Chief is getting a $60,000 fine, which is probably half his or 3/4 of his yearly salary.
Yeah, and 75 regular season points as well.
Yep.
So,
yeah, tough because they were pumped. There was so many people that were happy for that team.
Yeah, and like you say, I don't think the way his dad was acting, I didn't think because if that was a knowingly cheated up motor,
they wouldn't have been like
dad
that.
would be like, "Hey, we won! Yay! Yep. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! I gotta have a conversation with my son. Oh boy, So, yeah, I think it was non necessarily intentional.
No,
what have you? So, yeah, so that kind of sucks. However, going into the Cup race, we had more than 36 cars for once, twice in a row, actually. 37 cars. Ooh. Because Gregson was in the 62, so 37.
Yep.
So, yeah. And it was interesting. Still trying to bump draft and, tandem draft with cars that you can't tandem and bump draft with.
I was out starting. I was in Peterborough, so I was able to listen to the cars at Peterborough Speedway, and was going to be able to watch the race, but rain held off or came, and they were moved. We went old school Sunday morning at 10:30.
Well, yeah, but I knew that right away because it's Florida in August, and nobody wants to race at 1 p.m. in Florida. And Dale Jr. loved it. Hey, it's old school. We're running at 10 a.m. Nobody cares.
I was on my way home from Peterborough, so I got to listen to it on the radio first, then watch it. Doug Rice on the radio, if you're sitting in church watching it, remember to turn it down and not be hollering too much when something happens, because you're in church still. Remember, we're going old school, so that was kind of funny.
Yeah. So dropped the green, and was no practice, no qualifying, set up by points. Have at it, boys, and they did. And again, Ty Gibbs, I'm like Junior. I just want to be up front if I can.
Yep.
He didn't quite have the car to get up there, but he was trying, and he was helping somewhat. A lot of the people that they're talking going into the race were doing well in the early part, including because the other announcement going in, Kurt Busch says, I don't think I'm coming back anytime soon, so I'm pulling the waiver. To which both Blaney and Truex went, okay, we like that, because we're both competitive. As long as we stay out of wrecks, we're both competitive going into this race. We're feeling pretty good. We can put some points together, and I don't have to worry about, I still got to race this guy if another guy gets in, but it was a bit of breathing room is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as they dropped the green flag, apparently nobody that's won a race but is still inside the top 30 decided they all needed to be up front.
Yeah.
And then Corey LaJoie says, I'm not in the top 30, but I got a fast car. I'm going to come up front too. Oh, okay, sure.
Yep.
I guess. And the first stage, both, the guys got points, both Truex and Blaney. They're showing it's like anywhere from 2 to 5 points at any given time.
Before the end of that first stage, there could have been some foul play back at the shop. That's all I'm saying. Little convenient. The 5-car blows an engine.
Well, I think he was running some trick parts.
As I said to you, you got to watch the nice TV interview.
Yes.
I got to listen to the radio interview, and there was some shade going on in that sun in the Florida sun on the radio, because Kyle made sure to say, we've had a good season, but it seems like we've blown an awful lot of engines.
Yep. They say they're throwing the experimental stuff his way. They don't care. They don't care. Charity case. Early. Again, we saw some spins, avoiding hitting the inside wall. Speaking of which, no. Steve Letarte, the grass is not your friend.
No.
Oh, when you get out of control super speedway, if you can get on the grass where it's safe. No.
Well, he said that with Riley Herbst on the final.
Yeah. No. Ask Rusty Wallace how grass is on super speedways. He'll tell you. No.
Well, wet grass.
Even then, you can still dig in, catch an edge.
Yeah.
Then I don't care how many flaps you have on cars. You're going for a ride.
More on that later with someone possibly with a little PBR action going on there late in the race.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that.
So, and then we got into stage 2 and running hard, weather in the area, which you could see it because driving down the back straight, ooh, Florida, look at that sunshine. The Sunshine State, Doug.
Yes.
Driving through the tri-oval, ooh, big black clouds. All the black clouds. And they weren't even... Flash of sheet lightning, they don't even mention it on air because they don't want to... because you can't have lightning with 8 miles.
More on that later.
So then, and guys are getting points. And again, whatever... And it wasn't like they were running the same strategy, but the 12 and the 19 were pointing away. Just nickel and diming each other the whole race and staying near each other on the track. I'm running the top 5. That's okay. I'm in the top 10. Dang it. Yep. I'm back in 18th. That's okay. He's in 23rd. All right.
Then the 12 has an issue. And I'm surprised that they got that done in the 6-minute clock.
The stage break helped on that one.
Yes. Yeah.
So, because it was a quick little 1-lap deal or whatever.
Yep.
So, yeah. Why? I don't know why they do that. Just run it out.
Yeah.
Don't have a 1-lap restart. It's stupid. You can't even get up to speed. All you're going to do is cause stupidness. So, then we get in, weather threatening. One lap for one was fine, Doug.
Then but before that we have someone who we may have talked about on the show before.
Oh, I thought that was part of that same thing. Okay.
No, that was a little later on.
Okay.
Gets all excited, turns into JoJo the circus boy like a new pet, and just says, "Oh, I'm up front. What should I do? I'll shit myself like I usually do, Michael McDowell." Just every
Your
time
boy got McDowelled.
You hardly ever run up front. You have no clue what to do there. You just happen to get lucky one time in Daytona. Know your role. Finish 34th, 8 laps down. That's all you need to do.
So your boy had some damage done to the car.
Because of JoJo the circus idiot.
Yep. Is that the one where we saw how apparently with the rear diffuser, it's got its own little mini flap because somebody tried to go up in the air?
Yep.
Oh, Ricky Stenhouse. That's right. So, so we clean up that. Again, weather moving in. 1 lap, turn 1's fine. It still looked sunny. That was the thing. It wasn't dark.
Yep.
And then all the cars just go into turn 1, except they don't turn. They all just wash up the track.
Well, the top line washed up the front. The bottom line went down below. It was just... They were just...
Yep. And Austin Dillon went...
Something in the middle of the track we don't want to be around.
Yeah, and Austin Dillon went, "Oh, excuse me, pardon me," because when you see the roof cam, it was... Somebody mentioned later Days of Thunder wreck. No, that for Austin, that was Days of Thunder. Like, everyone parted the Red Sea, literally.
How tight did his butt clench when he seen freaking Harrison Burton right there?
Oh yeah,
That was
who had
close.
no luck all year.
No.
So yeah. So we had a rain delay of a few hours.
So yeah, so with that, so with all that rain, even when that rain started, right? Mike Bagley was over in turn. I'm not sure if he was on the backstretch. They got no rain whatsoever.
No, it never did rain on the backstretch.
No.
It only came across the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was pretty cool because they had what's his name, Stephen Hunter from NASCAR. Like he came into the booth like he did the Mike Kelton thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, we got people all around the track, and it literally because they got like somebody just past the tri-oval type thing, another guy off in turn 2, and the rain cell came between them. So what are you gonna do? Have 30 people around the track instead of 6?
No.
Like I get it. I can't really fault anybody for that. And hey, we saw it at the beginning of the race. It was raining during the start of the race. All the roof cams were getting water on them, and they ran. So I get it. They had a limited window to get the race in. It happens. Austin Dillon's wife's doing the rain dance. He's like, sit down. Jesus. Like the whole time, he just sat by himself the whole time. He was just, because they had a camera on him. He's just sitting there.
Well, Tyler Reddick went in and was talking with him for a bit.
Yeah. Early. But for the most part, he was alone for the majority of the time. Sometimes he'd pull out his phone for a minute, and the rest of the time just... And I'm just going to say, for a guy who's so religious, man, his wife's a bit of a hoochie. Just saying. So...
Yeah.
She had a real Peg Bundy vibe going on, just with the peroxide instead of the red hair.
Yeah.
Austin! Anyways.
Well, former Carolina Panther cheerleader. I think even just before that, talking about the PBR stuff, I don't know if you've seen when Chase Briscoe wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of spun, he got around, he looked like he was staying flat, and all of a sudden the car just went, whoop. It looked like he was like a bull just kind of trying to butt.
Yeah, that was with the rear diffuser as well as the rear, all 3 flaps kicked in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
he's on it. So, so they restart the race, and cars were dropping here and there. Blaney was down several laps, but he was picking up points. Martin... if he would be in the middle of 3 wide, he'd be good because there'd be no air on him. But he had, like Keith mentioned, the left rear had a bit of parachute issue going on, which we don't see that often anymore. That happened. No. Hey, Charles, Mr. Wet Sand. Anyways, and then it was just another wreck.
Yep.
Wreck. Chastain had to cause some wreck, and he did. He managed to do something. Daniel Suarez was driving like Chastain. Like, geez, I'm like, easy there, buddy. And man, it got to the point where I was counting 18 cars on the track by the end for the last restart. I paused the video so I could just count them. It was 18 cars still on the track for the last restart. And then, hey, it was old school racing. We had like 3 packs of 4 cars.
Yep.
I'm like, great. I'm down with this. Because it was a whole new ball game, and I'm thinking nobody in this field at this point has a clue how to race like this at Daytona. Because this is like 80s slingshot racing in many ways.
Yep.
And that was a wild race. And
then Austin got his teammate Tyler Reddick behind him to do any blocking, and then Castle, being a kind of offset of RCR, was there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Gregson was trying to get something going, but
Gregson, I'm going to win this. No, you're not. No. Even Castle was like, I might try to win this. And he was like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And so, and you know what? I'm okay with Austin Dillon winning the race for the simple reason that they could have called it at the rain delay.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to. You can tell they just didn't want to call it though, based on that hinky finish of everybody crashing out and the lucky guy who makes it through happens to win the race. So
Yeah.
that I get.
So a lot of people are upset with Austin winning the race and that they shouldn't have had him the leader because Kevin Harvick was still running. People were talking about Kevin Harvick still running.
Yeah, Harvick was bitching about that during the rain delay, but his car
But the
wasn't
thing
doing
is,
one.
as NASCAR said, and there was and they, I want to say the morning drive guys did whatever rule it was, like there was like 18 letters and numbers in it.
Yeah.
That because Harvick was in the wreck and he didn't keep up at a speed, he actually kind of stopped basically. With Austin keeping his momentum going, that's why Austin was in the lead at the rain delay.
And again, Harvick was a non-factor the rest of the day. So it's not like, even if he was the leader, he wouldn't have been the leader by the time the race restarted.
Yep.
So,
well, and even then, with Keith saying about waiting, that rain delay happened at 12:30.
oh, exactly.
Right? They've still got a full day of getting that in. So
Day and night, because we do have the lights, and they don't mind running past midnight because do we have a noise bylaw? No, we're right next to an airport.
Yes. So, and I know seeing a lot of Truex fans online were upset because he was in front of Blaney, which that really doesn't matter.
No.
And you know what? It's and as he said, it's not just that race. It's 3 points somewhere else in the season, and we know.
Yeah, and
I've talked about it here. They gave they had time to get those 3 points other times.
Exactly. And we can say the same about Blaney. And for the majority of the season, Blaney was second in points until just recently. So, he should be able to point.
And really, if it wasn't for Kurt giving up that waiver, Martin wouldn't have been in anyway.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, the difference is Blaney in or not, basically. That would have been the difference. And I don't think Blaney's going to win the title.
No.
Which I guess we can do because it's the playoffs and we do our prediction because Dale Jr. did his. Your final 4 picks. He said Chase is a shoo-in for the final 4. I don't know about that.
Yeah. I don't even know either, but I think, you know what? I don't even think Larson is. I hate to say this. I really, really hate to say this, but it's an even numbered year. So Logano will be in the final 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's made the final 4 in all of the even numbered years, not made it in the odd numbered years.
Yeah. You know what? I'm thinking maybe Harvick.
There's a chance.
Just pointing his way, like totally pulling a Matt Kenseth and just killing them with top 5s.
Yep.
Which, on the other hand, Blaney could be said for that too in a way, because he didn't win a race, but yet was second in the points.
Keith, I didn't say he would win. I just say he was going to make the final 4.
Yeah.
Look at Denny.
Yep. Interesting.
Yeah.
You see, I was thinking possibly an outside chance of Chastain, only because Chastain, I think, has been laying back the last month or so, for the most part. But
then the other thing, he's got too many haters.
You know who we're forgetting, though?
Tyler Reddick.
Exactly.
I was just ready to say that. But speaking of another thing I didn't get to say, there was a tweet put out by Justin Marks on Sunday night. We didn't get to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
That he that with NASCAR not throwing the cautions or whatever, or something with the way they raced in their Daytona, they wrecked $4 million worth of race cars. Justin, are you talking about this race, or your driver has wrecked that many cars in the regular season? Or is it that just, or were you trying to nicely say that NASCAR chastained the field on Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Those cars weren't rubbing their own fenders. Like I say, I saw Suarez driving like Chastain out there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know what, I think this year is probably the one year where it really could come down to anybody.
yeah, that's true. It is hard to predict. Like I said, like I saw, like Keith was mentioning, Hamlin has issues with pit crews, but they're going to consolidate the 2311s, two teams, any teams that aren't. Well, basically, what we got is it Kyle and Denny are the two Gibbs cars in the playoffs.
Christopher Bell.
Okay, so they're going to consolidate 6 pit crews down to 3 teams immediately, and then as it goes. And that's been a thing for years. The first time I really paid attention was Harvick. I think it was at RCR. Taking members.
Hendrick did it as well. He actually swapped.
Hendrick started doing it after RCR. But I remember
they did it
because Harvick would be very vocal about his pit crews, though. Yeah. And it was announced team members from the other team, like it would be 3 crew members would go from the other team over. And then Hendrick once the real playoffs started, then Hendrick very much would, who is my lead horse? And
like I said, Hendrick did it mid-race one year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And not due to injury, because we've seen it happen due to injuries before. But yeah, speaking of which, who was it that was backwards in the Xfinity race that ended up, getting clipped? And what was it, like the 14th? They need a new gas man. That guy was like, holding the gas can. He's like, And I'm like, buddy, it's kinked. He just got tagged there. Good luck getting it in. And he's all like, holding it sideways. Like, no, it don't flow. So you got to tip it up. And I'm thinking, dude, you need to find another role with the organization. This is not it.
So do we touch on some next year stuff?
Okay. The fact that Eric Almirola is definitely not retiring.
Yeah, Almirola's back.
Interesting though on that one.
That's my other thing is he signs for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Larson, how long does he have left at Hendrick in his contract?
Also
2 years.
Also, Smithfield signed on for 3 years. So immediately there I went, okay, they're doing the transit. Like Smithfield said, hey, we want Eric for a while longer, and we will sponsor the next guy coming in, so you can do that. Because we know so many contracts are lined up, sponsor and driver mimic each other. So it's a package deal in many ways. Yep. Also, yes, Greg Ives is leaving the pit box at the end of the year.
Yes.
Very smart guy. Very smart guy.
Apparently, he's got some other stuff lined up with Chad Knaus.
Yeah. He's still going to be working with the team. He's just not going to be on the road. And it allows him to spend more time with his kids. His kids are getting into sports and stuff like that, and he wants to be more involved with that, apparently.
So, Kyle Busch news.
Yes.
You and I talked about it, that KBM was alive and well for about 8 minutes.
What was?
KBM, the initials KBM.
Yes. Which went from a last runner in our last show to a front runner by going into the race weekend.
Yes. So it was looking like it was going to be Colleague Busch Motorsports.
Which made sense on so many levels. Yep. Keith Campbell and I were talking about that last night because Colleague has announced they want to get it expanded into the truck series. Hey, Kyle Busch has a truck series team.
Yep.
Chevrolet has stepped in and said, hey, we would love to work with Kyle Busch and increase our presence, in racing. Because apparently Toyota, which it's weird, Doug, for the longest time, I thought Toyota was such a strong manufacturer, but you look at it, they basically just shrunk down to Gibbs.
Yep.
That's it. Yep. Gibbs and the satellite Gibbs team, essentially.
Yep.
So, I don't know what's going on there. So,
well, you got Michael Waltrip is out of it. That was the big thing, and then Red Bull was there, right? So, that was their teams before.
Yeah.
So Chevy stepped in and said, you know what, we want him in a better ride if we're gonna have him in a Chevy.
Yeah. But
So-
although Kyle also said, I don't mind working with a team and building up a team at this point because he's got a title. He's good in that respect.
Yeah.
Which, based on what he was projecting out, Colleague could be a powerhouse team by the end of that.
Yeah. So then we get word that Kurt is out and isn't medically cleared to come back to race.
Right.
And he's been talking about retirement.
Sure. He's the most senior driver in the field.
So if he can't race, does that mean that Mr. Reddick could be let out early of the 8?
Right.
To move
without penalty. We should say without penalty, which would mean, because if Childress frees up the ride for Kyle Busch, he would say to Reddick, you don't have to pay me to get out of the contract early, and I don't have to pay you to get out of the contract early.
Yeah. Which then would move Kyle to the 8, freeing up to 18 for Ty Gibbs to come up.
So
Sammy
so
Smith
you hardcore NASCAR lovers with the ink, all you have to do is just get that 1 removed.
Yep.
You're not getting another 8 on there. You can just get the 1 removed.
Yep. And then that would leave room for Sammy Smith to come into the 54 because he's done not too bad in his last couple of weeks in Xfinity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I've been watching him in ARCA, too, and he's been doing great in ARCA. So, yeah, that seems to be... Oh, and that would be the ECR still?
Could be. But then now I've heard today, Gibbs and Toyota are back in the ballgame with keeping Kyle in the 18.
Well, maybe because they realize they lose a huge presence in a series. Because who else runs Toyotas in truck?
Yeah.
That's competitive. Because there could be somebody. You know how it is. I'll drive a Toyota, but it's not a real Toyota. It's not a factory Toyota.
Yeah.
So, you lose your factory presence. So, yeah.
So Toyota was doing a lot of press conferences this weekend. So, especially David Wilson, the head of TRD.
Right.
Was doing a lot of talking. So they're wanting to keep him. It's just got to look at that money situation.
It's all about the money. So we shall see on that. Other than that, Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch. We already covered Gregson moving up to Cup. So where is Ty Dillon? We don't know. Possible retirement.
I think that will be the way to go. He almost did that last time. I think that'll be his way to go.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah, because apparently there's no room at the family team.
Nope.
So, all right. Well, I guess we should wrap things up.
Yeah, just watch out. Dale Jr. makes his appearance this week.
Tonight.
At, North Wilkesboro. Yep. Actually, he is. You're right. It is tonight.
Yeah. Which was funny because I was watching the Ask Dale Jr. yesterday. I was like, wow, that's on early. Why? And then I can't remember her name. She, she runs things during the Ask Dale Jr. And then she's like literally doing it. He's like, yeah, we're shooting today because we're going to be busy doing stuff for her. And she's like, now I understand why we're recording today. You're kind of busy tomorrow. He's like, yeah, I kind of am.
And speaking of doing stuff early,
Josh Berry as his crew chief at North Wilkesboro.
Yes. Actually, as I said, doing things early. 2 more weeks, and we'll be going back to a lunch hour show.
Great.
Wake Ben early. It won't be Ask Junior. It will be Wake Ben early.
Great.
On a Tuesday.
Sure. There we go. All right. On that note, he's been Doug. I've been Ben. Keith's been Keith. Terry's been Terry. Tom's been Tom. Charles has been
Terry. Terry was really good this week. Again, 3 weeks late as he was with Marshall, he noticed the background this week. So nice of him to be so observant. So, yeah.
It's been NasCanucks. Please subscribe, share, comment, like, all that stuff.
Exactly. See you, Marcus.